Hi, my name is Eric Klein. I'm a director at VDC Research. I'm here at the Massachusetts headquarters of Blue Cedar, and I'm joined by Blue Cedar's CEO, John Isian.
Hey, Eric.
Nice to see you, John.
It's good to have you here today.
Excellent. So let me set up our conversation. Mobile security, you're a mobile-first security company. Mobile security is top of mind, but security in general is top of mind these days, right? We have a lot of things in the news, clearly, that I think have a lot of people thinking about their own security, but from a corporate perspective, things are changing, right? I think the big driver here is apps. Apps, we're living in app-centric times. We all know we're addicted to our devices. We all use apps for everything we do from a personal perspective. Now we see companies finally deploying apps to their employees. We've moved beyond email, and people are actually using apps for productive purposes, and their companies are benefiting from it. This, of course, opens up a massive opportunity for companies to come in and help secure not just the device, but the apps. And I know that's kind of your corporate tagline, if you will. Tell me a little bit about Blue Cedar and introduce yourself, please, and we'll kind of go from here.
Absolutely, Eric. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Blue Cedar. Blue Cedar is a San Francisco and Marlboro-based mobile and IoT app security company that, as you mentioned, is formed on the premise that other forms of security on mobile and IoT are necessary. Device-level security, container-level security, even virtualization technologies, but we don't think they are sufficient. We think there's a last mile, if you like,
Exactly.
of security within the overall architecture that protects the data, which is ultimately the corporate crown jewel, and how that data manifests itself to end users or to other systems. As you mentioned, the dominant form factor by which corporate data is exposed to end users or other systems on mobile and other next generation form factors is the app.
So John, let's talk a little bit about, I guess, your secret sauce and differentiators. I think that's a really important element here of, you obviously have to establish some differentiation in the market. It's a highly competitive market. There's dozens of vendors that are participating in this market. Tell me a little bit about how you differentiate and where you see that happening.
Absolutely. We differentiate across really the three dimensions around which our tech adds value. And the first dimension is the way in which we actually provide security controls within the app itself.
Okay.
We do that declaratively. Technically, that's another way of saying an app developer or a security operations overlay group, or whichever the right group is within an organization, can incorporate Blue Cedar security controls into an already completed compiled app or into source code that will become an app, in both cases without coding. So the code-free orientation of the way in which we perform injection is an absolute unique. The second element of our differentiators is the way in which we enforce the policies that code is then designed to enforce. We do it very dynamically, and we do it via a common set of security libraries that is very lightweight, it's very efficient on battery life, has minimal or no impact on app performance, and yet provides a level of dynamism that organizations need to be able to change those policies over time. And the third element of our differentiation is around the connectivity element of our architecture. We've really designed that connectivity even element for mobile and IoT first use cases. So it supports transients of connection, supports multiple levels of simultaneous connections at volume. So it can support, for example, 100,000 simultaneous connections at scale via a single gateway. And then lastly, it recognizes the fact that the orientation of mobile and IoT devices is constant change. Network traversals from 4G to Wi-Fi, etc., and be able to handle those traversals with elegance in a manner that's consistent with organizations' security as well as end user expectations.
And that's a really important one. The end user expectations one is one I focus on quite a bit because one of the things we look at when we survey the market is we ask users what are the barriers, what's impeding them from implementing the security that they want to implement, and oftentimes you'll hear the users basically didn't like the obtrusiveness of the security that you've put in place, right? So there's too many sign-on screens, for example.
Yes.
that's one thing I think that I wanna call out, based on my knowledge of this market, you have effectively been able to make your security fairly transparent, or if not all, completely transparent to an end user. I think that's a very important thing here because, as we know, as consumers and users of devices for years now, we have our favorite apps we use. If we wind up, finding the experience too cumbersome or annoying, if you will, right? Oh gosh, I gotta go back and go through this screen again to get it to work the way I want it to work, we'll stop using the app. That can't happen in a business scenario. You're obviously using these apps to do your work. So I think that's an important element of what you've accomplished. And other vendors are trying to do this too. You see, vendors really focusing hard on applications to try to secure them. But that's one thing that stood out when I did my evaluation of your company and your tech. So I just wanted to mention that. So perfect.